All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Cindy Nellis. I'm the director here at Penn West Clarion Small Business Development Center, and we welcome you to TikTok and Snapchat Basics for Small Business. Today, we'll be providing an overview of these two platforms and discuss how small businesses can use them for marketing and brand awareness. Our speaker will look at what is unique about these emerging social media channels, how to set them up, optimize your presence using them, and what type of content you should be posting. As a reminder, we have muted and disabled the videos for all of our participants. If you have a question for our presenter and his team of experts, please enter them in the Q&A. If you have a private question for me, your host, please enter them in the chat box. And again, we are recording today's webinar. Before we turn this over to our expert, I'd like to introduce you to the Small Business Development Center. We are a grant-funded program with the mission to help businesses start, grow, and succeed. We provide education, information, and tools to help businesses make better business decisions. We do this through our one-on-one business consulting services and our training events. Our consulting services, as a reminder, we provide it at no cost, and it is confidential. We offer training seminars on a variety of topics that target the needs of small businesses. And we do want to remind you, because sometimes people have the perception that a small business is very, very small, but to us, a small business is any business with no more than 500 employees. Because we're grant funded, we use that funding to also provide you with access to database information that relates to market and industry research resources. We also have a lot of great resources that will help you do financial analysis, as well as actually implementing your marketing strategies. We also partner with many economic development organizations to help connect you with even more resources to help your business start and grow. And this is our contact information here at the bottom. And you will be receiving the slides from today. A little bit more about the Small Business Development Center. I am a part of a statewide network of 15 centers. We are all located at institutions of higher education. So depending on where you're located would be the SBDC that you would access for resources. We are also a part of a national network called America's Small Business Development Center, and we leverage that network to bring even more resources directly to you. WEDNet is a program that is housed within our actual SBDC, and this is actually funding for to skill up your employees. And so to be eligible for this funding, your business needs to be eligible, the training needs to be eligible, and your employee needs to be eligible. But if you have the need to skill up your employees, we ask that you connect with us and we can help you walk through the process to see how this funding can help your business. Okay, let me introduce you to today's speaker. Jared Roberts is the manager of digital strategy for Trailblaze Creative, and he's the co-founder of Right Brain, Left Brain, a Pittsburgh-based marketing firm. As well. Previously, he served as the director of member programs for the Pittsburgh Technology Council, the nation's first and among the largest regional technology trade associations, where he directed the development of programs and services offered to more than 1,500 technology companies, entrepreneurs, economic development organizations, and universities. Earlier in his career, he worked in business development for a large communications corporation and helped launch and sell a video conferencing tech startup. Jared earned his BA in social ecology with a minor in comparative culture from the University of California, Irvine, along with an MBA from Waynesburg University. Jared, we welcome you. We're glad that you're here, and I will turn it over to you and stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours.
Great, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and share that in just 1 second. I just realized that I was clicking around, I was unmuted there. So I was just double checking that we had access to the chat function, because right now I see that it's just, I just got it for everyone. So I think I should be good. And hopefully Hunter and Allison have that same access. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Thanks again, Cindy, for hosting us. I appreciate the invitation and look forward to presenting today. So I've gone ahead and shared my screen. So welcome everyone today to Social Media Marketing with TikTok and Snapchat. Again, as Cindy mentioned, my name is Jared. We're going to be talking about a couple different things today, specifically defining what social media marketing is, and then we'll take a look at Snapchat and TikTok and how you can use those. And then we'll get into some generalities around social strategy, how to optimize, promote, and increase engagement, and look at some of the insights related to social media marketing. We'll talk specifically about content creation, and then look at who does TikTok and Snapchat well, provide some examples of that. And then if we have time, we'll talk a little bit about how you can use those platforms to sell on social media. Before we get started, I definitely wanted to get a disclaimer out there. There's plenty of information on TikTok in the news, but today's presentation is not TikTok, is not an endorsement of any platforms. If you would like to learn more about TikTok or any of these platforms and what they do in terms of security or privacy, I just encourage you to do a Google search and bring up some of the recent articles and news about them. In addition to myself, we have Allison Huth, who's our brand curator, and Hunter Smith, who's our data and design alchemist. And they're going to be helping answer any questions that you have that you may want to drop in the Q&A section, as Cindy mentioned. And we'll be doing that real time kind of as we go through here. With that said, let's get started with an overview of social media marketing. So just to kind of take a step back, social media marketing is connected to social computing, which is the use of online communities, social networks, and other internet-based media for both personal and professional applications, whether that's collaboration, communications, entertainment, marketing. Some of the benefits of using social media to market your business is it can be used to improve your sales, your branding, your customer service. It definitely will expand your communications channels because so many people use these platforms. It contributes to search optimization. So Google puts a pretty high priority on the social media sites because they're used so frequently. So if you don't have a social media presence there, you're kind of missing an opportunity to contribute to SEO. So this is a look at the primary channels. You have Snapchat and TikTok fit into what we define as being the primary channels. The largest of those is Facebook with close to 3 billion users. Instagram is now over 1 billion users. And what you see is TikTok has definitely grown quite a bit to catch up to Instagram with 1 billion users. And then Snapchat has about half of those. And really, we put one word that describes what each of those channels are used for. And I think that, each of them try to set themselves apart as being unique. But Snapchat is really kind of more for privacy and shorter conversations, where TikTok is for video and entertainment. So this is an important thing to look at. Those are the stats with the total number of users on that previous slide, but these are the monthly active users in terms of billions. And this kind of shows you where TikTok and Snapchat rank. TikTok is about 6th there, and Snapchat is, I think, 10th or 11th in terms of their monthly active users. And I think for a lot of you on the call today, this is probably a little bit more relevant of a statistic, and it measures the number of users in the United States. So what you see is when they look at the users in the US, Snapchat and TikTok both kind of jump up that list, where TikTok is now 3rd in terms of who's using it in the US, and Snapchat comes in at 5th. So let's take a closer look at both of those platforms. And today I'm going to kind of jump back and forth between specifically addressing Snapchat and TikTok, and then generally addressing your social media marketing strategy. But throughout the presentation, I want to I would say the majority of our content is going to focus specifically on the two platforms that we're talking about today. So Snapchat is used to message and update friends and contacts, and those messages disappear after being used. So content such as short videos or eye-catching photos seem to do well. And the platform also offers a chat service similar to WhatsApp and other instant messaging platforms. TikTok is used for creating and sharing short form video. In most cases, it's 15 to 30-second videos, although they have kind of recently shifted to allow up to 10-minute videos. What seems to be popular on TikTok is funny skits, do-it-yourself tricks, tutorials, music, and dancing. Really with a lot more or heavier focus on the entertainment piece of it and the dancing piece of it and the music. But there is definitely a niche there for do-it-yourself video and tutorials and things that might be a little bit more relevant to our audience today. And they have a vast catalog of sound effects, music, and filters to help enhance the videos that you're making and make them a bit more appealing. Some of this is just kind of a look back at what we already talked about, but there's about 500 million monthly active users with Snapchat. 53%, so about half of those folks are female. On average, this is a pretty important stat. On average, a user spends about 30 minutes a day. And the average user actually opens up the application at least 30 times per day. So it's definitely a platform that the users are passionate about and they're spending time on it. And if you can capture a bit of that time or get in their feed when they're logging in 30 times a day, then there's definitely a benefit to your business to do that. The largest demographic, though, is a bit younger than some of the other platforms. So if you are looking to reach a younger audience, as 15 to 25-year-olds, then Snapchat might be the platform for you. A little bit more about kind of money that's spent on Snapchat. There's basically $2 billion in annual advertising revenue on there. So people are spending money to advertise on Snapchat. So that might be an option. The one thing I think that's relevant is that 40% of their users consult friends on purchases using Snapchat. So it's definitely used to identify things that should be purchased and decision making related to buying online. The other thing is about 2/3 of all users share their purchases on Snapchat. So, if you can get Snapchat users to talk about your product, it's going to be a great chance to get some exponential visibility for your product and services. TikTok, we talked about that, close to 1 billion monthly active users. A little bit higher percentage of the users are female than with Snapchat. The average user spends about 850 minutes per month on the app, or about 30 plus minutes a day like Snapchat. And the average user logs in about 20 times per day. And the largest demographic there is very similar to Snapchat, where about half of their users are under 30 years old. So if that's the market that you're looking to reach, then it's probably the platform you want to consider. It's also a platform if you're looking to reach a wider audience, a more international audience. TikTok's available in 35 languages. It's got over 3 billion downloads. And it talks about some of the similar to Snapchat, folks that use TikTok use it to discover new products and brands, over 80% of those. And according to one stat that I saw recently, it overtook Google as the most visited internet site recently, which is pretty impressive. So just to take a look at some of the terms that you may or may not have heard, a snap is just basically, it can be used as a verb or a noun, but sending a photo or video or a photo or video. My story versus our story. So my story is kind of limited to your friends, whereas our story might be something that you share publicly. A lens is a way to add some illustrative elements during your snaps. A filter is something that you can use post-snap to add things like location. A streak is your consecutive daily interactions with someone or with a group. Discover is a way to find some recommended stories that might be outside of your network on Snap. Geo-filter, which I think is probably might be relevant to some of you if you own a brick and mortar type of a location, is it becomes available when somebody's near a landmark. So, if a geo-filter can be created for your location, it's a way to get some additional visibility that way. And then the Bitmoji. So when you first set up an account, you can set up your cartoon avatar of yourself, and there's lots of customizations that you can make for that. In terms of some of the TikTok terms that we have, you have a friends tab, which is kind of your personalized feed for the people that you're connected to. You have effects, so you can customize and add details to your video. One thing that's very big on TikTok are the sounds. So you can tap into viral, trending, or traditional sounds, and they have quite a catalog of existing music. And what you'll see in some of our examples a little bit later is TikTok users, in addition to using music that's available today, they also use a lot of the sounds that are connected to making or using their products as well. So there's a couple different ways you can go there. Stitch is the ability to combine with another video. Duets are kind of side by side with other creators. For You is a page that you can kind of explore additional content. And then there are creator tools available that provide some advanced features and insights, and we'll talk a bit about insights later on in the presentation. So some of the benefits of using Snapchat to market your business, it can drive traffic to your website. It allows you to have more informal or relatable or authentic interactions with clients. So if the tone of your social media marketing isn't very formal, then Snapchat might be a good place for that. We talked about you can reach a younger audience. It's pretty intuitive and easy to use once you've downloaded the app. Some of the benefits of TikTok, it definitely allows you to expand your reach and associate your brand with trending content. So if you're interested in that type of image on social media, then TikTok might be the place for you. You definitely benefit from higher engagement rates, which I found surprising, but their engagement rates on TikTok, and when I say engagement, I mean likes, follows, comments, shares, that type of thing. They're 4 times higher than Instagram and 8 times higher than YouTube. So it's definitely an opportunity to get more engagement than you might on some of the platforms that have been around longer. It's an opportunity to engage your target audience and increase website traffic and conversions. And it's also a place to engage with potential employees or partners if that's important to you. Okay, so this is a little bit more, we'll talk about generalities of your social media strategy. So this could apply to Snapchat and TikTok, but it also will apply to if you have a Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn page, Twitter account, whatever it might be. We'll talk a little bit about optimization, promotion, engagement, and insights of those different platforms. So, as you're building a social strategy, it's important to ask some of these questions to help you develop the most relevant strategy for your audience. Who is your audience? How do you increase brand visibility? What should you post? What role do your partners or clients play? How do you measure impact? Where should you have a presence? All of those things. So first, what we like to do is we're first getting started with a social media marketing strategy or a specific platform is identify what you want your personality and tone to be. So before you can do that, you kind of want to understand what the types of users are. And so you have listeners who don't really do a lot of engagement on your post. You have influencers. So those are the people that follow your page and will help share your post and educate other users. The one thing I like to remind people is that an influencer doesn't have to be Beyonce with 5 million followers or however many followers they have. It can be somebody who has 500 connections, 500 friends, and who likes your product or service and is willing to talk about it. So you don't have to tap into celebrity to connect with influencers. You just want to find people that are happy with what you do and that have built kind of a strong network, regionally or or, community that has similar interests as you do. And then there's networkers. Those are the people who are online to kind of build relationships. There's activists, who are looking for change and want a platform to share their voice. There's spammers that you obviously want to avoid. Those are the folks that overshare or maybe send you a direct message that you're not looking for. And then there's the troll who just adds irrelevant content to your post. So those are the type of folks that are there. But what you want to do is you're kind of developing your tone and personality is define your audience. So what's your objective in being online? Who are you trying to connect with? Where do they work? What are their jobs, their positions? What are their challenges and pain points? What topics interest them? What are they passionate about? And then where do they spend time online? We talked about, with TikTok and Snapchat, people are, using it 30 minutes a day. So they obviously spend their time on those platforms. So maybe you do want to, use them to have a social media marketing presence. And then you want to identify your purpose. So again, I mentioned a couple slides ago, do you want to be informal and kind of have fun and entertain people, or do you want more of a formal tone online? So identify what your purpose is. Do you want just a platform to amplify your message? Do you want to make your followers happy? Do you want that engagement? Do you want people commenting, answering questions, answering polls? Are you there just to educate and inform people? Or are you there to entertain or sell? Whatever it might be. So once you've kind of defined that, then you can establish your tone and your personality. So if you want to inform and educate, then maybe your brand's tone is a little more knowledgeable. If you're just trying to entertain people or engage people, then maybe you're a little more fun. If you want to build trust, then you're authentic, and so on and so on. The one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the presentation is I will be sharing the slides from the presentation today. So if there's anything I go through kind of quickly, I will share it as a PDF and you can go back and reference that. I've also built some links into the presentation, so you'll be able to click on the links or see some of the samples that we're talking about today. So next on the strategy list is the setup and optimization of these pages. So, as you're building a business profile, you want to make sure you're selective with a username. Use something that you can try to find across all the platforms. When you're able to add a business description to your profile, make sure it's keyword rich and includes, at least a few keywords about your business and what you do. When possible, add all your contact information in there, obviously connect it to your website. And then keep it on brand. Make sure that you're using the same profile photo when possible. And for the platforms that have cover photos, make sure that you're keeping that consistent with your other marketing materials. And when you can add a video as your profile photo. And then there were a couple YouTube tutorials on how to optimize your profile for both Snapchat and TikTok. And that's where I mentioned here, you'll be able to click those links and kind of view them on your own time following the presentation if you're interested in that. So next up is promotion. So you've identified your tone and your personality. You've actually set up your pages and you've optimized them. So next, what you want to do is you want to tell people about it. So make sure that you're adding all of your social media icons to your website and make sure those links work. Almost every time we're helping a new client and they have social media links on their site, not every time, but I would say 1 out of every 3 times, at least one of those links does not work. So make sure you're adding those icons to your website and that they're actually connecting to your profile on those social media platforms. Send a dedicated email. So, make sure your friends and clients and partners know how to follow you, but more importantly, let them know why to follow you. What can they get that's kind of unique by following you? You can add a connect with us line, your signature, add your social media icons to your email marketing campaigns, mention it when you're out there speaking. If it's possible, put a sign or a QR code up near checkout in your shop, if that's something that you have. And you can go from there. And then next up is engagement. So, you've established this presence, you're starting to post to it, but so you've established a presence, you've optimized the presence, and you've told people about it. You want to make sure that you have an active presence. So you're posting at least a couple times a week. We'll talk a little bit later in the presentation about platform specific suggestions for how often you should post. You want to, I know this seems intuitive, but you want to make sure that the content's relevant and valuable to your audience and your community. You can use it to highlight products or promotions or events. Interactive content works really well and is going to help increase engagement for you. So those photos, those videos, those GIFs, animations, that's going to work best. If you have multiple employees, I normally recommend establishing a content collection mechanism, even if it's just an email address where people can share, can send your social media manager content and they can kind of share it out there. Make sure that you're setting up notifications and alerts so that you know when people are commenting. And then stay visible. So like or follow other pages. Make sure you're sharing people's content when it's relevant. Anytime you add a new post, you want to make sure that you're tagging people in the post. If you're highlighting someone or a business partner, use hashtags, which we'll talk a bit more in detail as it relates to TikTok a little bit later in the presentation. I like to recommend that you change your profile photos or at least your cover photos quarterly, just to kind of align with initiatives or promotions. And then finally, once you've kind of exhausted all your organic means of promoting your social media pages, then maybe we'll consider paid advertising, and you can do some testing with paid advertising. And then, to increase engagement, don't forget about, collaborating with partners. You can provide them with and ask them to share your specific posts and tag you. You can tag your partners, and then definitely find a couple of happy clients or friends and ask them to provide a review of your business. And then, it's all about tagging and connecting with folks. So don't forget about your clients or your suppliers as well. So the insights, so you've been posting for a while, people are following your page. How do you know if your posts are effective? And, before you get to measuring specific campaigns, it's important to know your analytics terms. So I've talked about a few of these things, but impressions are the total number of folks who your content appears to in their timeline. The reach is the number of people who actually choose to see your content and engage with it. So that might be somebody that actually stops as they're scrolling through the timeline to read your post instead of just going right through it. The impressions aren't as important as that reach number, but even more important than both of those is the engagement, which I talked about. And that's the responsiveness of your audience. So that's measured through the likes, shares, and comments. And that's really a good measuring stick for what type of, as your engagement increases on a specific post, it's a good way to identify, what you may want to use to guide your development of future posts as well. And then you have page views and influence and, measuring who's talking about your brand and what kind of impact they have. But so you want to know if you're doing a good job on social media or if you're wasting your time. So to do that, we've talked about defining your objectives, and it's important to identify what you want to measure. So once you've done that, you will enable tracking of your analytics. So some of these platforms come automatically with analytics. Others you have to upgrade to a business account and enable analytics. So you want to make sure that once you have access to those analytics, you're accessing the reports regularly, and you're looking at those things like whether or not the people are clicking the links and whether or not it's driving people to your website, and whether your posts are actually turning into conversions of followers or visitors to your website. And if not, or if you see certain posts that work, then you can adjust future campaigns and then remeasure the following month. So content creation, really, when you're developing content, you want to inform, impassion, entertain people. What goes where? There's really kind of a lot of crossover, but in general, Facebook can be used for products, promotions, articles. Instagram's high resolution photos, quotes, stories, and videos. I actually read an article yesterday that one of the heads of Instagram said that they're going to be shifting back to prioritizing photos in 2023. So in 2022, because of the connection with Meta and with Facebook, they were heavily focused on video and reels. And it sounds like they're going to shift their algorithm back toward presenting more photos and less video. So if you are on Instagram, I think that might be relevant. And if you have more video content, that might be where you shift to TikTok to present that instead of Instagram or Facebook. LinkedIn's great for jobs and company news and professional content. So on average, when you're starting out, we recommend a couple times a week for Facebook and Instagram, maybe once or twice for LinkedIn or Snapchat. And then the suggested frequency on TikTok is quite a bit more. They recommend that you're doing it once a day to have kind of an effective presence. So the content, what we like to recommend is that the one thing I'll say is these percentages will shift based on the type of products and services that you offer. But my point in having the percentages there is that you don't want to make all of your social media conversations about you. Yes, it is important to highlight your company news, your products and services, your promotions, but it's also important to talk about your community and provide information that's relevant to your community. And to do that, you can highlight your clients. You could talk about trending content. Maybe you're posting about national or unique on-brand holidays. And again, I mentioned that collaboration. You can also highlight a specific partner or vendor. So in terms of general posting guidelines, be an active listener. It's important to reply to comments. I think that it builds credibility with your following. It also helps increase engagement. Create an editorial calendar. So that's going to, I'll talk a bit about that in a second. We talked about the posting frequency, and if you have access to groups, I know Facebook and LinkedIn offer some groups. So if you have access to groups, that's also a good way to kind of expand your audience. And we focus on 3 C's when we're talking about content: culture, community, and commerce. So as you're developing content, you can develop it in any of these 3 categories. So culture, is an opportunity to showcase your company, your personality, your tone. It's definitely a way to humanize your business and highlight some of the folks on your team. Community are where you're sharing posts that would be of interest to your audience. So it doesn't have to be about your product or service. It could be about user-generated content, industry news, topical news. And then commerce, you want to make money. You want to, when you're social media marketing, you want to turn that into conversions and actually make money from it. So highlight your products and services, share product samples, case studies. And then, if you're offering workshops or events, use the social media to highlight those things. There's a lot of different things that you can post about. You can highlight your blog, company news. We talked about the educational tips and how-tos, feature clients and employees, the on-brand holidays. Maybe you've developed some infographics. That's something that you can share as well. Products, services, testimonials are a good thing. We haven't talked about that, but just to highlight what people are saying about your products. And then videos of people or products. So this is an example from TikTok of a bunch of products that they sell, and they're highlighting that in a video, putting each one into the case and using TikTok to highlight that. I thought that video was live, but it wasn't, so I apologize for that. But that link should be live if you want to check it out after the presentation. So as you're developing your content and trying to schedule it, we normally recommend that you use a dashboard. So if you have multiple channels, you can use a dashboard like Hootsuite to establish an account and schedule your posts. TikTok is supported through Hootsuite. Snapchat is not. And then you can use that dashboard to create the editorial calendar, schedule future posts, and also monitor some of the online conversations that are happening about you. I mentioned the editorial calendar. This is just an example. It's really just important to map a month out ahead and some of the topics that you want to address. You can also use that not only for social media marketing, but if you have email marketing and you want to connect email and social campaigns. That's not saying that you can't, if something comes up throughout the course of the month that you can't post about it, but this kind of keeps you honest in terms of scheduling and making sure you have some content out there each week so that when people visit your account, they're not seeing a blank page. So when we talk about scheduling, Snapchat is definitely different than a lot of the other platforms that we see. According to this, and some of the other things that I've read and noticed, the best time to post to Snapchat is on the weekends between 10 and 1. That's when the most engagement happens. But throughout the week, it also says that the evening and late evening are the best times to post to Snapchat. In terms of TikTok, what you can see is the most engagement in TikTok is happening early afternoon on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, as far as this heat chart goes. But really, what you might want to do is test what works with your audience. If you're first starting out with TikTok, you can use this heat chart as a guide. But I think one of the positive things about that is that you'll see mid-afternoon during the week seems to work well for TikTok. So that's definitely quite a bit different than the audience for Snapchat. I mentioned about hashtags. It's important to use hashtags, especially with TikTok. It gives you the opportunity to categorize your content. It definitely helps you increase your visibility and expand your audience. You can use it to tap into trends. You can also use it to tap into to build community. So one of our clients is a manufacturer of robotics exoskeleton pieces. And so what they do is they use a lot of words like assistive technology, robotics, exoskeleton, things like that to connect with their audience. And they were able to grow their TikTok following very quickly just by posting a few videos that had relevant hashtags on there. So generally, some suggestions when you're using photos for Snapchat, or any other platform like Instagram, you want to make sure that these might seem obvious, but it's kind of a checklist to use as you're posting photos. Make sure you're using bright and clear images. Make sure that when you have the opportunity, depending on the platform, that you're including alt text to make them accessible. Make sure that they're sized to the specifications. I feel like every platform is a little bit different, and Hootsuite has a pretty good resource for telling you what the latest image sizes and video sizes are. So make sure that you're looking into that. The research shows that when you're highlighting a product, you should include body parts with it. So it doesn't have to be a whole person highlighting your product, but we see a lot of that in TikTok videos now where they're showing you the products and you see someone's hand or you see the specific body part that they're using those products on or whatever it is. And this is kind of an example here of how Nike's doing that with kind of the lower body here in the skateboard, highlighting their shoes. And there's also plenty of free design and stock photography resources that you can use if you want to mix that in with the type of content that you're posting. We'll be happy to recommend a few of those. When you're using video, make sure that you're using multiple video angles so you can kind of zoom in and zoom out. And there's a lot of motion in a lot of TikTok videos, and I'll show a couple of examples of that in a minute here. Keep the subject narrowly focused. Make sure you're using kind of descriptive titles and captions, and you test out different lengths of video. I mentioned that with TikTok, 15 to 30 seconds works best, but see what works best for your audience. A lot of these platforms give you the ability to go live, and I think I use this example here. Let me see.
I wanted to get more.
Yeah. So this is Snapchat. This is an example of somebody going live for Snapchat and sharing their decorations for the cake. It's important when you are using live video that you enlist a good team. So it might not be just you doing the live video. Make sure you're running on the right platform. Maybe do a test run with a smaller audience. You can play around with that a little bit, but make sure that live video, the point is that live video is an option, but I recommend that you kind of test it out early on to make sure that it's something that makes sense for you. So in terms of content development and posting, if you're going to do it, make sure that you're doing it well. So who does it well? For Snapchat, a couple of the examples that I like to point to are Grubhub, MTV, Shein, and Taco Bell. Each of these is a live link. So when you get the presentation, you can check out each of the channels to see how these platforms are using it. So LA County Museum of Modern Art, they're doing a good job with on Snapchat. LACMA is doing a good job with their use of lenses. They also have a pretty funny Snapchat presence. So if you follow their page, you can see some of their artwork, and they add some pretty humorous comments to it. And the other thing is they do a good job in terms of their activity levels. They definitely post a lot. Mashable does a good job of grouping their stories by series. And they actually, I mentioned in the past, some of the content that you can use might be a blog post or a news item. They actually use it to promote their news items and their articles. So that's pretty unique in terms of Snapchat. But I think Mashable is a good example of how you can connect with users and share relevant news items. And they also use it to tap into trends. So this video is kind of an example of all of these things. They do have an article about this cat's toothbrush, and then they're also connecting with users who are interested in cat videos. So you see they kind of highlight the toothbrush that they've written about on Mashable. They use a trend, which is using animals in a post, and that's a couple of the ways that Mashable does a good job on Snapchat. And then finally, we have a Pittsburgh-based company, American Eagle Outfitters, who is also on Snapchat, and they do a good job of using their stories to promote products, using it to connect, focus on their audience, so you could get a good feel for who their audience is that they're selling to here. And then what they do at the end here is they connect it to their website. So we talked about selling on social media. It's important to be driving people back to your website, which they do right there at the end of the video. So who does it well on TikTok? There's a few of these that you can click through to look at. And I tried to kind of give a wide range of samples, but Cult Beauty does a good job. There's Dairy Queen Three Rivers in Canada. That actually has a pretty cool presence, Gymshark, and then the San Diego Zoo. So you can, when you have time and are on TikTok, if you don't already follow those folks, you can check them out. A couple of specific examples. Hyder Real Estate does a good job of using real short clips. They keep the camera focus on their subject. So I mentioned when I was talking about tips for optimizing your video, zooming in and out, moving around, but focus on a few specific items in your video, and they do a good job of that. They also do a good job of tapping into TikTok's sound library and some of the trending playlists. So you see they're talking about closets, and they're talking about a couple different closets in the real estate in one of the properties that they're selling. And so that's kind of an example of how they're using it to focus on some of the highlights within the specific property, and then also tapping into a recent playlist. Mista is, they do a great job of highlighting their employees. So if you go to their channel, there's a lot of videos from their shop. They use a lot of original sound. So they don't use music, but what you hear are the machines in the background, a lot of the clicking and noises, which seems to be a trend on TikTok as well. So they do a good job of that. And they do a good job of using TikTok to showcase their product. So again, if you do have a product, this might be something to consider. Show people how you make it, and then highlight the end product. And they do a good job of that. And they have a lot of videos like this if you want to check them out. But that also highlights their culture as well. It shows their employees, it shows their folks at work. And so that was one of the things we talked about when you're creating new content. And then Duolingo is a company that was founded here in Pittsburgh, and they do a good job of tapping into current events and trends. They definitely keep it on brand with their mascot. So a lot of their videos are funny content that highlight their mascot and highlight on brand type of content as well. So they're a good example of somebody that you might want to follow for those type of things. And this is one example. So the World Cup was obviously popular on TikTok, and when Argentina and Messi made it to the finals, Duolingo tapped into that, and they tapped into that trending content to increase visibility for their brand with people that might not necessarily be following their page. And then lastly, we have selling on social media. So some of the benefits of social shopping is it's low cost marketing. So it's low cost way to get exponential visibility for your products and services. It gives you the ability to access a larger audience. Folks that are selling online are perceived as more trustworthy and authentic in terms of advertising. In most cases on these platforms, it creates a quick and simple buying experience. And the platforms also provide some smart analytics to help you decide if you need to adjust your sales campaigns on there. So on Snapchat, if you want to sell on Snapchat, there's a couple steps to getting started. One is understanding your audience, setting up a Snapchat business account, and there's a link there for doing that. You can implement the Snap Pixel, so you're actually able to measure, the impact of some of those campaigns. If you have the ability to partner with relevant accounts to promote your products, that's a good thing. Use those geo filters to capture local users when you can. Encourage user-generated content to feature your product, and then create descriptive paid ads. And then in terms of accessibility, you want to confirm that your ads work when they're muted as well. So with TikTok, if you want to get started selling on TikTok, it's definitely important to determine your niche so that you're creating videos that are relevant to them. You can set up a TikTok business account using that link, or you can convert your personal account if you already have a personal account. We talked about that posting at least once a day. So it's important to, when you're selling on TikTok, to create content frequently and add product links into your videos. Whenever you can, you want to leverage those trends. So, even if, it's not, those trends aren't connected to your product, you can still tap into them by using some of those hashtags or some of the video that is trending at the time. And again, just like Snapchat or any of the other platforms, really, you want to encourage user-generated content that features your products, and you can use that to promote some of your organic posts. So, just in terms of a recap, I mean, there's a lot, I think, probably to think about as you're considering Snapchat and TikTok for marketing, but we just recommend that you stay on the trail. So optimize your pages and profiles in the ways that we described. At a minimum, increase frequency of your posting. If you're not doing a lot of posts now, that'll give you the opportunity to get some of your content seen by more people. Invite your friends to follow your account. So even if you've done that in the past, revisit that and just connect with people and try to get them to like and to follow your pages. If you're not already, make sure that you start replying to comments. It's going to increase engagement. It's also going to help people find you as a more trustworthy business. Consider paid advertising. So if you feel like you've already done all this and you're still not getting the number of likes or engagement that you want, or the number of views or conversions to your website, then maybe it is time to consider a paid ad, or at least test out a couple ways to do social media advertising. Try using a new type of content. So if you're posting photos a lot, excuse me, then try to tap into video. If you haven't posted stories yet on a platform like Instagram, maybe you use that, because there's more visibility for stories outside of your group of followers. But try something different if you find that you're only using one type of content. Start selling on social media if it makes sense to you. And then finally, I've kind of talked pretty quickly through a lot of these slides, but just reach out to us if you have questions about how to improve engagement, promotion, content development strategies, whatever it might be. We're here for that. And I know Cindy will provide our contact information, or I can drop that in the chat once I kind of exit out of the presentation. Oh, there it is right there, where you can write it down. But I'm happy to serve as a resource. You can call or text me at that number, or email me at the email address there, and you can give us a follow on any of those channels at Trek Outside. And that's it. That's all I have. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I think.
Thanks, Jared. That was awesome. So I would encourage you to, if you have questions, we do have a few minutes before we are allotted time for today's webinar. So I encourage you to post questions. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just to give everyone my contact information. And then just as a reminder, we will be sending out Jared's slides, my slides, today's recording as soon as the recording's finalized. But also, we will be sending out an evaluation survey for you to give us some feedback on today. And not only on today's content, but also what topics do you need training on. So we're always developing new webinars and would be happy to focus in on a topic that you have a need in. So looks like we've got maybe a few more questions.
So how do we go about that when just starting out? Allison's typing. It looks like Allison and Hunter are on top of that. Let's see. So I've not used either of these platforms. I'm interested, but how do you set up? So what I would say is, Susie, we will send out those slides, and the slides toward the end have the links to setting up both of the business accounts. The first step that I would suggest taking is downloading the app on your telephone, downloading the Snapchat app or the TikTok app on your telephone before starting to post or doing other things. Take a look at some of the examples that we provided and how they're using that content. Follow some other users that might be relevant to your business and see how some of those folks are doing it. And then just set up your profile, put either your personal, your personal photo, your personal information in there, and use it personally first. So you get a feel for it and then convert over to a business account. But I think those are the first steps. Download the app, set up an account, follow some other people, see how other people are doing it first before you take those first steps.
Jared, I think that this is maybe a very elementary question, but we do get this from clients. So as you're talking about social media platforms, you also mentioned about your website. And so not everyone has a website. So maybe speak to the importance, or maybe not so much the importance of a website. Your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it is important to have a website. And even if that's a single page, a single landing page, it's important to, when you're first starting off with a business, it's important to have a web page. It doesn't have to be a full-blown website, and also to claim your business listing on Google. And those are two good first steps. And there's plenty of folks out there that can help you build a website, but there's also plenty of platforms that are intuitive enough that you can kind of build a page on your own to get started. But that's something that we can help with. And I know, so Jen Adams had asked, one that's geared more toward nonprofits and how to utilize these apps. Jen, so at Trailblaze Creative, we work a lot with small businesses, but a large part of our audience is also associations, nonprofits, and municipalities. So we do this for a lot of them. And I think that I think that TikTok and Snapchat might be a little bit less relevant for that audience. We'd probably focus more on LinkedIn and Instagram as starting points, then Facebook. And then probably out of the two that we talked about today for nonprofits, maybe TikTok. If you can share some video about what you do or the groups that you serve, or how you're providing benefit to your community. I think that would be a good place to start. So again, everyone should have my contact information, but I'm happy to provide more details on how some of the nonprofits we work with are using social media to market their business.
Great, thank you. I don't see any other questions. One more. And the other thing I was going to mention to everyone who is still with us is that if you would like to actually ask your question live, I'm happy to unmute you. I just need to have you ask in the chat.
And so Patrick asked, do you do these talks for Facebook and LinkedIn? We do actually. So I don't know what type of business you have, Patrick, but we have through the SBDC an agribusiness social media cohort that's launching next week. And we actually cover social media marketing as it relates to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter as well. And we kind of dig into all the different topics that we talked about today. But yeah, if for some reason you're not involved in agribusiness, I have a few different slideshows for those platforms that, if you want to connect with me, I'd be happy to talk a little bit more about and share with you. Landscaping. Okay.
Yeah, and just to jump into the Small Business Development Center, if you we've done those platforms as well in training. We don't have anything planned coming up. However, I'm just speaking for my center. So we can also always look at the statewide network list of training events to see if there's something there that's being held virtually that you could tap into. Some of them are going back in person, but a lot are still virtual. Is there a way for participants here to share their platforms so that we can support one another?
One thing that I would suggest that I'll drop in the chat is we actually we manage a small business Facebook group where we'll do some posts that might be relevant to small business. And it's also a place for small business owners to connect with each other and share stories and share questions. So I'm sure you can drop any of those in the chat here, but I can also, if you give me just 1 second, I can put a link to that group in the chat if you'd like to join it. Just give me 1 sec. So that's a good place to connect with other.
And then Patrick noted something, is there a history page where we can find old content? And the answer to that is probably not. Unless we can find something that's on demand. So if there's an on-demand webinar that you could watch, that's a possibility. I have to do some digging to see what's out there. I do know that when we do webinars like today, the recording is only available for a few months, and then it's deleted so that we can maintain the storage on our Zoom account. So. Oh, thanks, Jared, for sharing your Facebook page. That's awesome.
Sure. Yeah,
Any
so
other
that link is to the group for small business owners. That's not Trailblaze's page, but that's where you can connect with other small business owners. And it's actually the group that we promote to when we're doing presentations for the Small Business Development Center and when we've run the social media marketing cohorts for them and for a few other groups. So it would be mostly made up of small business owners or managers in Western Pennsylvania.
So Jared, since you mentioned the ag cohort, why don't you talk a little bit about what the cohort is all about? And then before you do that, I just want to say that the cohort that we're starting is for agribusinesses. However, we are looking at possibly doing another cohort beyond probably later this spring that would be open to anyone. So why don't you talk a little bit about what you do in that cohort?
Sure. Yeah. So we're hosting a new cohort of individuals who are interested in using social media to market their business. And so what that cohort, the purpose of that cohort is we meet 4 to 5 times over the course of a couple of months and talk about things that are relevant to social media marketing. Some of the things we talked about today, how do you optimize, how do you set up and optimize your profile? How do you develop content? How do you increase engagement? And then how do you look at analytics and insights to make sure you're doing everything right? then actually, I know somebody had asked about, a website. I think that's actually one of the things we're going to try to address later on in the cohort is looking at our members' full online presence and providing some tips there as well. So not necessarily just social media marketing, but also providing some suggestions for how they might want to optimize their online presence as well. So yeah, it's usually over the course of a couple months. There's normally between 10 and 20 people in there, so it gives you a chance to network with your peers while also learning about some of these things that will help increase visibility for your business. And we actually take time to walk through the steps to set up and optimize this presence. And we also set aside some one-on-one time with each of the members to work through those things as well.
Great. Hey, Jared, thank you. And thank you to Allison and Hunter as well. We appreciate all of you being with us. And I thank everyone who has attended today, and look forward to connecting with you with resources. If the Small Business Development Center is an organization that can provide assistance to you to help you start and grow your business, please reach out to us. There's no wrong door. If I may not be your center based on where you're located, I'm happy to connect you with the center in your neighborhood. So with that, thank you, Jared, and thank you to all those attending, and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good one.